Hey there, Walt here from WaltInPA, and today we're going to take a ride out to the liquor store. It's coming up on Father's Day here in a couple of days, and my father enjoys a glass of bourbon every once in a while and a cigar. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run out, pick up some bourbon, and I'm going to bring you along for the ride. Sit tight.
Alright, so if you're watching this video and you're not from Pennsylvania, there's one key piece of information that you probably should know, and that is Pennsylvania alcohol laws are pretty archaic. Now, they've gotten better over the years, but for a long time, and if you wanted alcohol, your choices were very limited in terms of where you could buy it and the quantity that you could buy it in. I mean, it wasn't until the last couple of years where you could actually walk into a supermarket and buy a single bottle of beer. In the past, it's always been you're going to buy a 6-pack from a pizza shop at a insane markup, or you're going to go to a beer distributor and buy a full case. And I believe it's changed so that now you can order wine online and have it delivered to your home. But in the past, it didn't used to be that way. Now, in one of the ways that it's still kind of archaic is that the state still handles all of the liquor sales. And growing up, we always called them state stores because, in effect, that's really what they are. So how it works in Pennsylvania is the state does all of the buying and selling of alcohol. So they go to different wholesalers, distributors. They buy up the quantity that they want, and then they distribute it to the state-run stores throughout the state. Now, there are certain benefits to this in that it makes the whole buying process pretty consistent. There's not a lot of price fluctuation from one store to the next. But if there is some small batch whiskey that you want to try by some obscure creator or some obscure distillery in another state, there's a really good chance that you'll probably never be able to get it in Pennsylvania because there's a whole approval process, and generally the state buys in quantity. So when it comes to buying liquor from our state store, there are in essence 3 different types. You got your regular fine wine and good spirits store, you've got your chairman selection store, and you've got your premium collection store. Now these different designations only really apply to the wine selection, or at least that's how I understand it. And the higher up the tree your store is, the more large or broad the variety is of the wine. But I found that the higher up the tree you go, they generally have a much better liquor selection as well. So if you go into a regular liquor store, you're going to have no problems finding your normal stuff, your Wild Turkeys, your Elijah Craigs, your Old Granddads, you know, your typical mass-produced, available pretty much everywhere bourbons. I'm a bourbon guy, so the bourbons stand out to me. If you go into a chairman selection store, you might find some Buffalo Trace, you might find some Eagle Rare, you might find some small batch varietals from local distilleries, that sort of thing. And if you go into the premium collection store, you really never know what you're going to find. It seems like they've got some really wild and obscure stuff. It's probably not wild and obscure to you, but it's one of those things that, you know, we rarely see. Hell, you may even walk into one of those stores and find a bottle of Weller sitting on the shelves. So at this point, you're probably wondering, well, Walt, you're going to buy bourbon. What are you looking for? And to be completely honest with you, I don't know. You know, I've been buying my father, you know, bourbon for, you know, Father's Day or his birthday for so many years now. It's almost become kind of a tradition, and it becomes really difficult to find something that I haven't bought him previously. So last year I bought him a bottle of Angel's Envy. The year before that, I think I might have bought him a bottle of Blanton's. The time before that, oh man, what did I buy him? I'm not even sure. So if I get into a position where I absolutely know that everything in the store he's had or I've bought him before, and there's nothing that's new to him, there are two fallbacks. The first is American whiskey, and that's kind of a generic, broad term. So there are a couple of local distilleries in the area. The first one that comes to mind is Manatawny Stillworks. They make a product that is very similar to bourbon. However, it doesn't meet all of the criteria. I don't think they age their Manatawny Stillwork spirit in new charred oak barrels. I think they use sherry casks or something, and that's where it steps outside of the bourbon realm and falls under American whiskey. There are a couple of other local distilleries that do something similar. So, you know, I haven't bought a lot of those, so those will generally be something new. And the other option is Scotch. My dad's not a big Scotch drinker, and neither am I really. But as long as I stay away from peaty Scotches, Islas, usually it's a safe bet. Something easygoing, like Macallan, even though that's gotten crazy expensive over the years. Something nice, easygoing, not aggressive, laid back. You know, it usually works out pretty well. Ladies and gentlemen, the bourbon has been purchased. I actually wound up buying 2 bottles, spent $110. You know, I started looking through the bourbon selection, and I quickly realized that there were 2 bottles that were really interesting, and I thought, you know what, I want to buy one for my dad, and I kind of want to buy one for myself. So I bought both. And I haven't decided which one I'm going to keep and which one goes to my dad yet. But it is in my backpack. The purchase has been made. But before I reveal exactly what it was I purchased, I need you to do me a huge, huge favor. And it's a simple one. If you're enjoying this video, hit that thumbs up button and tell your friends about my channel. Word of mouth is king in the motovlogging realm, so that would be a huge favor to me. Spread the word if you like what you see.
all this the Mr. Rogers scene. Short of changing my shoes and all that. But I'm home. I got my bourbon in the backpack. And yeah, it's time to find out what it is. It's hot out there today. Alright, so as I said, I picked up 2 bottles of bourbon. 2. One for me, one for my dad. I'm not quite sure which one's which just yet. But the first one actually came as a recommendation from John over at Road Reality. I don't remember if it was on Discord or if it was on Instagram, but he had shared a photo of some Woodford Reserve Double Oak, and it seemed pretty interesting, so I wanted to pick up a bottle. This is what, 91-ish proof. To be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of Woodford. It's not bad, it's very good stuff, but it's kind of, I don't know, I think it lacks a certain rough around the edges kind of character that I like in bourbon. So anyway, that one comes with high praise. Maybe the Double Oak is a little bit different than the traditional Woodford Reserve bourbon. Who knows? Either way, I picked up a bottle. Next bottle, I almost forget what it is. Ah, Maker's Mark. I was torn. I didn't know whether to go with the Maker's Mark or the Wild Turkey Rare Breed. I've had the Rare Breed before. It's really hot at like 116 proof, but it's fantastic. I'm a big fan, and the Rare Breed's not something you see on a regular basis. It only seems to pop up in certain stores, so it's not something that I'm exposed to very often. But I wound up going with the Maker's Mark cask strength, which is 109.3 proof. This is the one I'll probably wind up keeping. I think it was less expensive than the Woodford Reserve. Oddly enough, I'm not a huge fan of Maker's Mark either. I mean, it's good, especially the base spirit, the regular Maker's Mark. It's got I don't know, kind of like almost like a cherry sort of taste to it. I like it, but it's not something like I run out and go buy. It's something I like to keep on hand because it's pretty easy to sip on, and even if you're not really a bourbon drinker, Maker's Mark's something that a lot of people like. On the other hand, Maker's Mark 46 is something that I like considerably more than the regular Maker's Mark. And I have not had the French Oak Stave bottle that they have branded. They actually did have a bottle of that at the liquor store, but I didn't pick it up. So because I like the 46 so much, I wanted to try the cask strength. Cask strength is a little bit weird in the sense that in the stuff that I've had, it tends to be really hot because it's, high proof coming out of the barrel. It's cask strength. It's meant to be kind of blended down. But it's kind of, I don't know, in a way it's kind of rough around the edges because it hasn't been blended down into an easier to drink spirit that has, more of a varietal of flavors to it. It tends to be, at least for me, it always strikes me as kind of one-noted. But who knows? Maybe the Maker's Mark will be different. Either way, 2 new bourbons. One's going to stay with me. One's going to my dad as a gift. What you could do for me, by the time this video comes out, it's going to be after Father's Day. So head down to the comment section. Tell me which one I should keep, which one I should give to my dad. And then maybe I'll tell you how it all worked out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. Really appreciate it. Take it easy, ride safe, and I will catch you in the next one.